I'm Alan Kohler. I'm Adjunct Professor and Vice-Chancellor's Fellow at Victoria University.
I'm Domana Garma, Deputy Dean at the Victoria University Business School.
And today Domana and I are going to be talking about leadership, change and innovation. And why is that, Domana?
Because change, innovation and leadership features strongly in our MBA.
Well, the main role of a leader in a business obviously is to lead, but what does that mean? There's a lot contained in that word. You've got to find the strategy and lead on the strategy and how to make money, but also you have to set the tone of the business. What's the culture of it? What does it stand for? What are the values of the business? Those are, in some ways, do you think, Domana, more important than the strategy and making money?
Absolutely, and I think a very important aspect of that sort of vision is your employees and making sure you empower employees and get them to do what they think it will help the organisation as well, because that will build self-motivation and job satisfaction. I think it's change and disruption, and it's that constant change and disruption. Product life cycles have become shorter, I think, so there's constantly new products on the market and you just got to keep up to date with them.
Yeah, I think it's, and change and disruption, but brought about by the internet.
Yeah.
It's such a huge change. 10 years ago, Facebook basically didn't exist.
Yeah, that's true.
Twitter, all that stuff. 20 years ago, the internet wasn't there really, not in the form it is now. So that's been such a challenge for businesses, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's sort of, as you say, it's really brought about the rapid change in the product cycles. Mm-hmm. How do you think that's affected people? I mean, affected companies. What do they have to do to respond to that?
Well, they've got to constantly keep up to date with consumer trends, and that can come through research and data analytics and so on. So I think you've really got to be on top of that these days.
Well, that question of what are the key characteristics of a great leader is such a good question, because you've got to have, I think in order to become the leader or want to become the leader, you have to have a great ego. But you have to, in a sense, submerge the ego in order to become a great leader, to be the great leader. So you've got to have the ego to get there, but to properly be a good leader, you have to listen to people and follow them in some ways, not actually be a bossy person. Do you think that's right?
Yes, one of the new areas of what makes a great leader is honesty. So it's being sincere and having integrity, and that tends to build trust with employees. So you can have that ego, perhaps, if you are also upfront with people about what you want and what your vision is. Yeah,
because in a way, don't you think you actually have to walk the walk and talk the talk? You have to live the presentation. You have to be the leader, not just pretend.
Yeah, that's right.
As you say, it's got to be real and authentic, doesn't it?
And you've got to inspire your employees, so you've got to show that sort of strength of character, and hopefully that will rub off on them too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one thing to do is just to observe great leaders and see what do they do well. But even those that don't do so well, what can you learn from their mistakes? I think it's also important to undertake formal education, in that you can learn about what strategies work, if you want business growth and so on.
I think you've really got to know about data too. You've got to know how to find the data, how to find stuff out, which is kind of difficult. So I agree with you. It's really a lot to do with education and keeping on top of things. You can't just let yourself fall behind, because I think that the whole staff of a place are looking to you to provide that leadership about where they're going, and you have to know. Happily, my career has been quite a long one, and I can tell you that when I started in the 70s and 80s, and I was a young journalist, I'd go along to a shop in Queen Street to buy government reports and budget documents, and I'd have to lug them back, I'd carry them all back to the office, and my job consisted of, as a reporter, ringing people up. So I spent 8 hours on the phone, right? These days I'm online, and I'm getting the government reports online, and I'm not ringing people up anywhere near as much as I used to. So that has been, for me anyway, a huge change, and I think it's been a change for everybody, really.
Absolutely.
Operating online, using email, you know, just over the course of my career, it's been a colossal change.
Absolutely. Technology is what I've also thought was the most significant change, and just the way we do business.
And everyone's doing the business the same way, aren't they? I mean, everyone that get up in the morning, you've got to do your emails, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You've got to do the emails. If you don't, you just get lost.
And it seems like we're working longer hours as well to accommodate that.
Exactly. The role of the leader in managing change obviously is to help people deal with it, and the employees of an organisation usually find change difficult. And so I think the role of the leader is to make it easier, simply that really to show people that change is not only constant, but it's also easy and it can be done. And so to some extent the leader has to embody that, to deal with the change themselves and to talk about it. And I think the main way that a leader helps the employees the staff and the people of an organisation deal with change is by talking.
Yeah,
talking
definitely.
all the time.
Yeah, communication.
You know, communicating, talking, repeating the messages and helping and basically saying what the change is and what everyone has to do in order to deal with it.
With change there's always uncertainty, so what people need is constant communication. What is happening, why is it happening, and always relating it back to, I think, the reason for it.
Exactly. I think that communication is the key to it, Romana. You're absolutely right. Well, innovation obviously is doing new stuff, but the thing about innovation is that it always builds on what's been done before. So the definition to me of innovation is understanding and really knowing what's been done before, and then knowing how to build on it, because very little innovation comes from nothing. It's always incremental, builds on what's been done before.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is really just about making little changes to systems, processes, or what we're offering to people.
And sometimes that can make such a big difference.
I think it's difficult to say which is a bigger driver, because I think they work hand in hand. So there are times when you might have to you innovate, you find something new, and then you need to change the systems and how we deliver things. But there are times also where you might require change, perhaps for financial stability and so on, and you might have to think innovatively about how do you achieve that. And we've done that recently at VU, where we've actually redesigned the way we teach students through the block mode of teaching, where students do one unit at a time over a 4-week period. That's
very interesting. So you're, in a sense, you're drawing the distinction between change as an advancement and change in a sense that's reactive, or the change that's necessary to respond to something that's going on, which isn't necessarily innovative and not necessarily an advance, but it's something that has to be done.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I suppose the only negative, the only one that you don't want is change for its own sake. Well, I think the most important future innovation that all companies have to get on top of now is artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is so pervasive and it's coming through everything that every company has to do, that every leader and every business now needs to understand it. To some extent blockchain as well, but that's really more of a niche technology. But do you agree with me that artificial intelligence is the big one?
It is the big thing, and along with all this artificial intelligence and data, there is so much data, and we need to start analysing it and making decisions from that data.
That's right. Data, they say, is the new oil.
Oh, interesting.
Well, it's so valuable now.
I think it generally comes from within. However, you can sort of learn how others have done things. So looking at case studies of successful innovators, your Steve Jobs and others.
I suppose one thing that needs to come from within is the willingness to learn.
Yes, that's true.
I must say, Ramona, I think that there are certain character traits. I mean, and part of the question concerned character traits. Either people have got them or they haven't. I mean, I think probably that character trait of curiosity that you talked about is inherent, isn't it? Some people are curious, some people are not. And those who are not probably aren't going to make great innovators. I suppose part of the question was about character traits, and I guess the character trait that allows you to learn is the thing that you need to have. And I suppose to some extent curiosity and courage are a character trait that people have. And if they haven't got those things, maybe they will find it difficult to learn how to be an innovator. Do you think that's right?
That's true. And in some cases, you tend to think of as an innovator as an entrepreneur, but we can also, even some level of curiosity within an organisation can help you do well in your own role at work.